Why was the mentally ill Robert Card, who recently killed 18 people in Lewiston, Maine, allowed to own a gun? This is a question that has echoed in our minds and hearts ever since the tragic incident unfolded. Robert Card, a man grappling with mental health issues, unfortunately, was allowed to possess a firearm, a decision that has resulted in a horrifying loss of 18 innocent lives. It's a chilling reminder of how crucial it is to scrutinize the intersection of mental health and gun ownership, a community in shock, a nation in mourning, and a question that lingers: how did we get here? Make sure you watch until the end for some of the most important content of this video. Robert Card, a 40-year-old Army reservist and firearms instructor, had a dark side concealed by his seemingly normal professional life. An individual who wore the uniform, served his country, and even taught others how to handle firearms. But beneath that veneer of normality, Robert Card was a ticking time bomb. Card, a native of Maine, was not just an Army reservist. He was also a certified tactical and firearm instructor. He had the skills and knowledge to use firearms efficiently, and he taught others to do the same. But there was a cloud hanging over him, a cloud that was not visible to those around him. His mental health issues, reported by those close to him, painted a picture of a man struggling with his inner demons. Card was caught in the grips of a mental health crisis, one that was not adequately addressed or treated. His mental state deteriorated, and the warning signs began to show. He began to make threats, not idle ones, but threats to shoot up the National Guard base in Saco. These threats, alarming as they were, did not lead to any preventive action. There were no substantial efforts made to disarm Card, no attempts to revoke his right to bear arms. Despite his mental instability and the clear risk he posed, the system that was supposed to protect us failed, and the consequences were devastating. His mental health issues were not a secret. They were known, documented, and reported. But despite this, he was allowed to keep his firearms. His right to bear arms was upheld, even when it was clear that he was a danger to himself and others. The question we must ask ourselves is, why? Why was he allowed to keep his guns despite his mental health issues? Why were his threats not taken seriously? The tragedy in Lewiston, Maine, has brought these questions to the forefront, and they demand answers. It's high time we took a closer look at the intersection of mental health and gun ownership, and how we can work towards a safer future. But before we dive into that, here's a quick reminder. Subscribe and comment the word "subscribed" within the first week of this video being posted, and we will be glad to reply to your comment with exclusive bonus content that is not found in the video. On a fateful day in Lewiston, Maine, Robert Card transformed from a firearms instructor to a mass shooter. This chilling transformation took place at a local bowling alley and billiards hall, spare time recreation centre and Scemminge's bar and grill, to be exact. In a horrifying act of violence, Card left 18 people dead and 13 others injured. This was not a random act of violence, but a calculated attack. Card, a 40-year-old Army reservist and certified tactical and firearm instructor, had previously reported mental health issues and threatened to open fire on a nearby military base. Yet, he was permitted to own a gun. The day following the massacre, Lewiston, a close-knit community, was left in shock and mourning. The city's streets, usually bustling with life, were eerily quiet. Schools and businesses were closed as a shelter-in-place order was issued. The city was in lockdown, and the residents were in fear. In the meantime, a massive manhunt was launched for Card. His vehicle was found abandoned at a boat launch in Lisbon, 8 miles away from the shooting locations. The search was concentrated along the Androscoggin River, where it was believed Card may have kept a boat. Despite deploying reporters, helicopters and divers, and even manipulating the river's flow to aid the search, Card remained elusive. In addition to the physical search, over 500 leads were being assessed with assistance from the FBI. A note left by Card suggested he did not expect to be found alive, adding a chilling layer to the already grim situation. In the wake of such a horrific event, a pressing question remains: how could this have been prevented? The answer to this question might lie in the intersection of mental health and gun ownership, a debate we will explore in the next scene. The Lewiston Massacre has reignited the debate over gun ownership, particularly for those with mental health issues. This incident, like many before it, has raised unsettling questions about how a man like Robert Card, who had reported mental health issues, was allowed to possess firearms. Let's delve into the existing laws and regulations. In the United States, federal law prohibits the possession of firearms by anyone adjudicated as a mental defective or committed to a mental institution. However, these terms can be subject to interpretation, and the enforcement of this law often relies on self-reporting and the diligence of local authorities. Moreover, there's a significant gap in the system when it comes to military personnel and veterans. While active duty military members with mental health issues are typically barred from possessing firearms, there's a grey area for reservists and discharged veterans like Card who may slip through the cracks. In Card's case, despite his reported threats and known mental health issues, he was not only allowed to own firearms but also served as a certified tactical and firearm instructor. This highlights a significant loophole in the system: the lack of a comprehensive, nationwide mechanism for flagging and tracking individuals with mental health issues who pose a threat to themselves or others. So what about state laws? In Maine, for instance, they have a yellow flag law, which is much less restrictive than the red flag gun laws. And to complicate matters even further, Card's earlier psychiatric hospitalization occurred in New York, which did not trigger Maine's law. It's clear that current laws and regulations are insufficient to prevent tragedies like the Lewiston Massacre. The question now is, what can we do to change this? The debate is complex and fraught with political, ethical, and personal considerations. But the conversation is necessary, as the cost of inaction is far too high. While we can't undo the tragedy that unfolded in Lewiston, we can work towards a future where such incidents are less likely. It's crucial to explore potential solutions to prevent mentally ill individuals from owning guns. This is not about stigmatizing mental illness, but about ensuring the safety of individuals and communities alike. One viable solution is the implementation of stricter laws. Laws regulating gun ownership need to be more comprehensive and should include provisions that take into account the mental health of the applicant. This is not about infringing on rights, but about striking a balance between individual rights and collective safety. In addition to this, the role of mental health screening in the process of obtaining a gun permit cannot be overstated. Regular mental health checkups, both before and after obtaining a gun permit, can be instrumental in preventing incidents like the Lewiston Massacre. This is not only about detecting severe mental illnesses, but also about identifying signs of emotional distress or instability that could lead to violence. Moreover, the importance of comprehensive background checks cannot be understated. These checks should include not just criminal records, but also any history of violent behavior, domestic violence, and threatening behavior. This could go a long way in preventing dangerous individuals from obtaining guns. Finally, as we move forward, let's remember that these are complex issues that require thoughtful discussion and action. It's not about pointing fingers or placing blame, but about learning from our past and working towards a safer future. As we grapple with these difficult issues, we must remember the ultimate goal: preventing tragedies like the Lewiston Massacre. Now be sure to watch this next video, where we will further explore mental health issues as they relate to living in an AI-dominated world. Also, we've included links below to the tools we use to create our videos and grow our channel. You can get free access and discounts by clicking the links. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe, like, and hit the bell icon for additional content.